Welcome to 10 Intentional Minutes with Janine. Every week, I sit with leaders, deep thinkers, and ordinary people who live extraordinary lives with intentionality at the center. This is the space where leaders can build ecosystems and not ego systems. Welcome to another episode of 10 Intentional Minutes with Janine. Today is part 2 of our Intent Teen podcast. We had such great feedback on our last one, and we wanted to share more tools with you as moms and also for your daughters on how to navigate the season of teenager.
Yes, I absolutely love that. We're so excited about the Intent Teens program. This is a 4-week program that we're actually going to be running, and we're doing 3 different intakes in the year 2026. It's going to be absolutely amazing. If you missed out on the first podcast, I highly recommend you go back and go listen to that. The feedback from the field, like Janine said, and mom's just saying, wow, it's actually so simple. You know, it's so simple to do these things. I think we tend to overcomplicate it. And you know, the tools that we're giving you are things that you could literally implement today with your teen. I think that's the power of it all. And so in today's session, we really want to talk about the 10 reasons why she feels alone. You know, we know she feels alone, but why really? And how do we navigate through that? It's not just, you know, teen isolation is not just a bedroom door, a hoodie, or a silence at the table. It goes so much deeper than that. And that's what we want to get into today.
Exactly. The teen isolation is something that we can work through, but we can also understand and have empathy for. I think one of the biggest things that I've learned with having a teenager or teenagers is the word empathy, is to get into their boat, to understand what they are feeling. And what we spoke about the last time as well is it's a new language that we are learning. Sure. And they also need to learn our language, because as a mom, you're probably going through perimenopause, menopause, your own season in life, your own emotions that you're trying to navigate. And now your daughter or your son is going through their own feelings in that season. And no one of us thought it was going to happen at the same time. So how do we do this? And teens isolate themselves for various reasons. So why do they isolate? And then what do we do to overcome that and to help them to get through that season of isolation?
I think the first thing, and I mean, emotions is kind of right there at the top of it. You know, it's just the emotional overwhelm. They experience these emotions, and it's not like, you know, the question is not why do I experience it always, it's what am I experiencing? I think that's the big thing.
One thing with teens is that they struggle to understand the emotion that they are feeling, because it's so overwhelming. When they were little, we were able to wrap emotion up as I'm feeling scared, I'm feeling hungry, I'm feeling sad. And that's kind of where it stopped. I'm feeling tired or hungry. But now as a teenager, you're feeling other types of emotions that you don't know how to identify. You are feeling maybe rejection, anxiety, all these additional ones coming, and that actually hurts on the inside. Sure. You feel something, you feel the tug in your heart, maybe your tummy even, like it's turning, it's the anxiety. And how can we help them with that emotional overwhelm? It's definitely something.
Absolutely. And because it's bigger feelings, right? At this stage, it's much bigger, the feelings.
Yeah, I think as some adults, we still struggle to handle those exact feelings, but now our teenager is getting introduced to it very, very quickly, and they now need to deal with it. And that's why I come back to empathy, is we have to have empathy so that we can understand what they are going through.
Absolutely. What is something else that you think, or another reason why teens would feel isolated?
I believe there's a culture of comparison, and in as an adult, we speak about keeping up with the Joneses. As teenagers, we call it peer pressure. But there's that continuous culture that I have to compare. I'm behind, I'm less than, I'm not enough, I'm not as rich as, and all these comparisons. I don't have those shoes, I don't have that, I can't afford to do that. And they compare the entire time. And that affects them emotionally quite a lot.
Absolutely. Also because these feelings that they feel when they see these reels, when they see social media and think that that's real life, that's where the feelings come in again.
Exactly.
You know? So they don't identify with those feelings. It's brand new feelings, and how do they navigate through that? Very important.
I think our teenagers are better than what we are making them out to be. And the reason I say that is that they really have a fear of disappointing you
Absolutely.
as the parent.
That's
They
true.
really want to do their best. And a lot of the time why they hesitate to do something is because, what if I disappoint my parents?
Exactly.
What if I fail?
Yeah.
What if I do this wrong? They are starting to realize that I have the responsibility to take things in some matters into my own hands. But yet, what if I disappoint my parents?
I think an important thing to note here and kind of a lesson is we all make mistakes. And I think your teen also needs to know that if I do make a mistake, there is a safe space to come home to.
Exactly.
You know, that's so important. And that's where that fear is born. It's not a fear that they're scared of you. It's that they fear disappointing
Exactly.
you. And
Because
it's
they
exactly
care.
that. They do care.
That's the reason. They care, and therefore they have that fear of disappointing you. And you can help them with that, because if you don't, then what happens? They isolate, right? So a simple thing to do there is to speak to them about your fears or something that you struggle
Exactly.
with. You can level the playing field by being open and honest. You know, today I had a bad day. I actually made a mistake and I disappointed my boss, or I disappointed a colleague, and I don't feel so good about it, but this is what I'm going to do to fix it.
Yeah.
Because then they also understand, listen, my parents, my mom, my family, people around me, it's normal to feel that way, but what do we do to correct it?
Yes, absolutely love that. Another thing, Janine, is
Before we continue, a quick ask. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. This helps this podcast to rise in the rankings intentionally and helps to spread the conversation to leaders who needs this as much as you do.
I think sensory overload is huge. I mean, and it's not just social media. You know, people tend to think that it's only online, but it's everything. It's when they walk in a mall and they notice things that's different, that's changed, that they haven't noticed before. So it's not just socials, it's not just online, it's offline too. You know, going through magazines, things like that. It definitely has an effect. And their nervous systems, I don't think even as humans, we are supposed to be, you know, feeling all these things and seeing and being, you know, drawn into all the things that we are drawn into. It's just too much. I mean, as adults, we can't even deal with it sometimes.
I just wanted to say, it's like, if the adults are struggling with these things, how much not more our children?
Exactly.
And that gives them a very good reason to isolate.
Yeah, for
because
sure.
what they're actually saying is, I need time out. I'm shutting down. I'm putting my hoodie on over my face. I'm in my room. You're not going to see me. There's not really anything wrong, but I'm isolating because I'm in sensory overload.
Absolutely.
I'm in total overload.
Exactly.
Like, I need to reset.
That's exactly that.
Yeah.
How do you feel about friendships under teens? So this is a big topic.
Yeah, it's a hard one as well, because it changes all the time, and it hurts also at the same time, because every time the friend changes, there's hurt, and that hurts any mom, you know, and they will isolate because a small fallout in our terms, okay, is catastrophic for them.
Yeah.
So they will isolate because they don't want to appear that they are over dramatic, but on the inside it is really dramatic for them. It really is bad for them, even if it's just small. I mean, I think we spoke about the previous podcast that you get blue ticked, or you get removed from a group, or you don't get invited to a party. Those things are all reasons for isolation.
Absolutely.
Because it hurts, and how do I deal with the feeling that I'm currently feeling?
Yeah, I don't. Also, they don't realize they are feeling rejection, but they are feeling it.
Yeah.
I think that's the big shift. It's not being able to name the feelings that they feel.
That's big.
And in friendships, that's so true. I think throughout life as well. I mean, when we were young, how many of those friends that you actually went to school with are still your friends? You know, and it's a different scenario, but still, you know, when you think back on those times, it's actually like, oh man, we were actually so close, or, you know, and it's just not there anymore. So imagine a teen who's kind of building a lot of their life around friendship and connection, because they crave connection. And that's why they need friends. You know, they need to be able to connect with different people. And when something goes wrong there, I think that it's quite a shift for them.
And I think also as a mom, you need to realize that in this stage and phase of her or his life, they want to be around their friends, and it's normal. Actually encourage them to be around their friends. That's where they learn. That's where they test and see boundaries. Sometimes too far, and then hopefully they learn their lesson and they come back and like, that's not who I am. And that's not part of my identity, which takes me into another phases. But like, this is why they isolate, because they don't understand themselves.
Wow, that's powerful.
So they make decisions, and they make a decision to have something to drink, and they get drunk, and then they fall back and they're like, you know what? That's not me. So now they're in the struggle with themselves. It's like, that doesn't feel right. And is that who I am, or is this who I'm becoming? So they have that.
Yeah.
So to deal with that emotions is so heavy. Then what do? Is they just isolate again. And they think that when I'm isolating, I'm going to figure this out.
Yeah, that's very true. And it's not, because it's like this little rabbit hole that they go down this rabbit hole and yeah.
It's exhausting.
Absolutely.
It's exhausting. It's exhausting for them.
Yeah.
And then with that, they've got pressure of school, pressure of sports, all these kind of pressures all around them. And they're like, and that's where you come in.
Yeah, I like what you're saying there. Don't be another pressure. They've got enough pressure. Be a safe space. Be a haven for them to come home to.
Exactly, because if you misread the situation, they will withdraw even more.
Yeah.
They need their space.
Exactly.
They need their space because that's where they're figuring all of this out.
Yeah.
There's such a big pressure to perform.
Yeah, that's true.
Like,
on different levels. I mean,
yeah, don't be another pressure. There's academics, there's sport, there's so much social expectations. That is just so many expectations. They also have to make sure that they now decide what they're going to study, and they need to keep up with that. And am I going to study? Am I not going to study? Are these friends going with me? It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, and a lot of decision making all of a sudden. When they're small, we make the decisions for them. We help them through this process. But now, as they get older, they need to start making decisions, and that's the playing ground for them to actually, experience that.
Yeah.
And it's tough for them.
Yeah,
it's tough because some of these decisions, it just feels way too big. It's like the feelings. It's the feelings and decisions. It's how do I do this?
Yeah, exactly.
What do I decide? And what if I make a mistake? It boils
and
back,
the thing
back
again,
if
with the isolation, if they don't meet the standard, they shy away from the audience.
Exactly.
Again, they go back into that place of hiding or isolation.
Absolutely.
And I mean, we know it's not good. We know that they need their time. We know that they need their space, but up to a point.
Yeah, for sure.
And we can be in there, in that space, without being in their face throughout this period to help them, to guide them through. Another problem, it's a problem. Another problem that we see today is the digital numbing.
Oh, yes. That endless scroll. It's just scrolling because then I don't have to feel. So
that's why they scroll.
Exactly.
Because the moment I start scrolling, then I don't have to deal with the feeling of rejection or the feeling of not being invited or the feeling of pressure. I have an exam to write.
It's so true. That becomes the place they go back to. And it becomes a habit. And once that habit has been formed, it's much, it's worse because how do you break that habit? So the habit shouldn't be whenever I feel these feelings, I run to my phone, and yes, we all, as adults, we do that,
I was going to say, like, we speak a lot about the teens and what they do, but guess where they saw the behavior?
Exactly.
Is they saw it from us as the parents, and it's like, okay, so how are you going to handle your emotions differently? How are you going to identify what you feel and be open about that? Share those experiences with your daughter or your son.
Very important. I think to educate them also on the fact that, and to educate ourselves, getting back to that, what we do as parents is that it's not a method of relaxation. To actually sit and scroll for endless hours. It's actually very bad. It's so bad for you and for your brain. Brain rot. It's a real thing.
It's a real thing.
So it's so much deeper.
And we model that
exactly
for our children, and then we want to give them screen time. Yeah. Like, I'm on both sides here, but that's exactly the truth. Like, I look at stuff like that as like, we model, we're on the phone, but then we want to give them screen time.
We said in the previous podcast as well, kids won't do what we tell them to do. They do what we do. They check, they see. And so, yeah, when we're modeling this behavior, I mean, that's what they fall back on. It becomes second nature.
And teens are always going to avoid conflict.
Absolutely.
They don't like conflict. They don't like eye to eye. They don't like you looking at them or staring at them. They feel uncomfortable. And they're going to avoid that. So if you keep doing that, they're going to isolate themselves. They don't want to, because then they have to deal with the feelings again.
Exactly.
The feelings is overwhelming. The feelings is exhausting. So what do? I isolate.
Yeah, and I think for them, in that scenario, silence just feels safer.
Oh, absolutely.
It's their safe space.
I love
it's just
that.
safer.
Yeah, I love that.
Another thing I think is internal shame. Internal shame. They've made a mistake. So what if your teens made a mistake? They've made a mistake. They're keeping a secret. How do you handle that? And do they know, once again, where they can run to?
Yeah.
Are you that safe space?
And I like to give an example of this is maybe your daughter took an inappropriate photo and she sent it to a boy and they were not very serious and his intentions was never the same as her intentions, and now he's almost blackmailing her that he's going to send the photos to others. What do you do? Can she come to you? Like, do you create that safe space? And this is why these little things all the time, the consistency is so important, so that when something like that arises, she feels she's not going to feel comfortable, but she feels she can come to you and say, this very uncomfortable thing happened. What do I do? Help me.
Yeah.
This is how I'm feeling.
Yeah, I think that's important to note and to realize is that the small moments, and we said it in the previous podcast, the small moments become the big moments. If you are not there emotionally for your child, I mean, it's the same in your marriage, in any relationship in your life. If you're not there emotionally in the small things, how would someone trust you with the bigger, really important stuff,
I mean, there was an article I read over the weekend about a boy in the States that's what happened to him. He sent an image or a picture to somebody, and they came back and they were going to expose him.
It's bad.
And he actually committed suicide.
Yeah, it's horrible.
It's the first time it ever happened. He's never done it before, but that was just that one incident. And I'm not saying it's going to go that far. I'm just saying if you show up in the small moments, then they're going to show up when it's a big moment for them as well.
Definitely.
And you need to be there on all the sides.
Most definitely. How sad is that though? That if you feel, and that's where the isolation comes in. They isolate so much that I just can't deal with this. I can't tell my parents about this. I would rather commit suicide.
Yeah.
Imagine those big feelings that child needs to feel.
Exactly.
To do that.
Exactly.
At that point in time.
And maybe it's not. For you, maybe it's not a pornographic photo or it's not a nude photo, but maybe for you it's smoking. Your daughter might be vaping or smoking and she doesn't know how to come to you. And actually, she's already tried it. She's in it now and she's like, I don't like this. This is not part of my identity. What do I do now?
Exactly.
Like, even if they are in that far, will they be able to come to you and speak to you and say, Mom, I've messed up. And you will be okay with that and help them through. And maybe it's alcohol.
Yeah.
Maybe it's drugs. It doesn't matter what it is are you, will you be acceptable to that situation in the sense that you've made a mistake. I've been here before too. I've made these mistakes and let's help you to overcome. Let's help you to push through. There's nothing less of you. I don't think less of you as a person. I don't love you any less. In fact, I love you more for coming to me, and therefore now we're going to navigate and get through whatever you're struggling with.
We can deal with this together now, And I love what you're saying there, Janine, is our kids need to realize that we also make mistakes.
Yeah.
That we have also, as teens, made mistakes. So, share those things. Share your mistakes. Your child knows you're not perfect, and so share that. Just make yourself human before them and just authentic, you know, so that they can relate to that.
Yeah. I agree with you. We have many stories. I remember the one, a friend of mine, we were I think it was around matric, but it was this big bunk that we were going to do, massa bunk for the matrics, and we were all going to go to the park before we went to school, and we felt exhilarated. I mean, it was amazing.
On top of the world.
We were on top of the world. It was just these bunch of scooters and cars, everything going to the park. And we never knew we were literally making sparks. So my friend Bianca was behind me on the scooter, and we never, whatever, when we pulled the scooter back up, we didn't release the stand 100%. So the stand was hitting the floor. And as we were driving, and we were like at top of the
up like Christmas
we're having
trees
it was just the sparks all over to the point that it burnt her pants. And but it was fun stuff, you know. I always used to tell my mom, ons gaan bank.
Yeah.
Just
be prepared.
Just telling you, we are coming home today.
Yeah.
We are not doing this in class. And even that, I was able to tell her, listen, this is what I'm going. And it was it was for safety. It really was. Or we are done at school. I'm on my way home. You know, I used to tell her things like that. Communicate these things rather than let her find out or a teacher phone her. I would tell her this is what the one day it was so embarrassing, and I will tell her that, but she knows that. Like, we were sitting outside and the boys were smoking, and she came in there and she put a packet of cigarettes on the table, and she's like, one for all. And I thought, how
do we
I think I stood up and I threw it in the dustbin. I'm like, this does not work like that. Okay, you can do, I suppose, shock therapy works for some as well. I was just totally embarrassed. I'm like, what was she thinking? But her point is rather do the stuff in front of me than behind my back.
Exactly.
That's what she was saying. But then again, that day, the kids that were there and the friends that were there got so much respect for her that the things didn't happen.
Yeah.
So her strategy worked. I'm not saying that's what you should do. Yeah. I'm just saying she's a very intellectual person, very emotional, intelligent person. Therefore, she could read the situation.
That's what I wanted to say. Read the room.
She read the room and she realized, if I do this today, it's going to work.
Yeah.
I just don't even know how she bought cigarettes. Like, that's still...
Is that the mystery?
That for me is like, how? But these are the things that happened in our life, and how do we help them? You've been through this situation, so you need to help them to name that emotion.
Absolutely.
That's the tool, is help them to name that emotion that they're feeling. I felt embarrassed that day, got over that very quickly because I saw the respect that it created for my mom.
That's amazing. Yeah. I think apart from just naming the emotion, I think that, and we spoke about this, is that side-to-side moments or spaces that we create for our kids and for our teens, you know, the walks, the drives, doing dishes together, cooking, baking, you know, riding bike, whatever it may be. Just creating those moments that, once again, those are the small moments that become the big moments.
And I want to reiterate on that it doesn't start when they are teenagers.
Yeah.
Those things are things that you do from when they were very
Absolutely.
little. Walking together, cooking together, I loved when the kids were small, they would sit next to me on the counter and they would maybe chop something here or do something there. And they still do. I love that. Like, my kids are very hands-on in the kitchen.
Yeah.
They can really help themselves. Now it's nice for me to stand by them while they're preparing a nice meal. I love that. But it didn't start when they were teenagers. We didn't start driving together and having ice cream together when they were teenagers. We started when they were little, started doing stuff together as a family from when we were little.
Exactly, because once again, I mean, that creates the habits.
The spaces.
Exactly.
And the things, I was so surprised the other day, we went away on holiday, and normally we go for a hike in the October holiday. But we were in a different place, and my son was like, when are we going for a hike? And I was like, I realized,
He notices.
He that we go for a hike, and he notices that we do these things. And it's like, and I actually asked, why do you miss it? He says, always when we hike, when we get to the top, we pray for next year.
Wow.
Meaning we didn't pray for next year in his mind. We did, but not in the way.
In that sense, yeah.
So there's something at the top of the mountain that he started to realize.
How powerful is that? That's
so those side-by-side moments and the rituals that you build is from when they are little. It's not all of a sudden when they are teens.
Yeah, because I think then it also becomes weird for them. Yeah. You know, all of a sudden, why are you
pulling
me in
like
now?
This?
You're weird, you know. But if you've been doing it, it's a second nature for them. I think that's the important thing. Micro check-ins. We spent some time on this in the previous or in the first podcast. Yeah. Instead of saying just what's wrong, are you okay? How do we handle that? You know.
Yeah. Again, give them choices. Help them to frame the emotion that they are feeling. But give them space. Give them space as well. It's like, what is wrong? is an intimidating question for a teenager. And now they're thinking of everything that's wrong, but the one thing that is wrong right now. And that for them again is overwhelming and might lead to the isolation. So rather give them options. Are you feeling heavy or are you feeling light? Are you hungry? Are you frustrated? That something happened at school today that made you feel a certain way, then they can say, or even argue with you and say, no, this is not what I'm feeling, that's what I'm feeling. Okay, great. Now, is it something we address now, or is it too overwhelming?
Yeah.
Let's address this later.
Yeah.
And again, teenagers need space. They're not going to figure out. They need time in between to figure out. They've named the feeling. Now it's like, give me some space so that I can figure this out. I'll come back to you on this. Don't try and force the conversation.
Yeah, an immediate reaction, immediate result.
Your reaction is a problem.
And I struggle with that. Like, I'm a typical red personality, and so it's hard, and I think it's also important for moms to know that we're so real and truthful throughout this journey. We want to be sharing what happens in our own homes with our own children, because this is not just a you problem.
Yeah.
It's everywhere, it's typical problems, but there are ways to navigate it.
And I want to say is lower the volume of your energy. Lower the volume of your energy. The moment I get psyched up, my teenager gets psyched up, and nothing after that goes well.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah, because it almost becomes a competition of who's psyched up more.
Yeah. And sometimes I am proud of her for defending herself like that. I mean, she got that from me.
No.
But it's not going to help us in the problem that we're trying to solve.
Exactly.
So lower the volume of your energy. Don't get excited. The moment that happens, they shut down because of their emotion.
Sure.
Overwhelm,
Yes.
isolate. I mean, nothing gets solved with that. We learn so well from, the guru of teenagers, Stefanie Minnaar, where she speaks about how the amygdala pops. So in our home, we've got that. I'm like, I now just go like that, and I don't have to say much. Everybody knows it's popped. End of this conversation. Try again later.
Yeah, we can't do this now.
We can't do this now.
It won't be
it's not
effective.
going to get us anywhere.
Yeah.
It's not going to solve the problem. In fact, we're just going to scream and shout all at each other.
Yeah, create more problems.
Each go our separate ways, and we still sit. But you can just have like little things that you can tell yourself, I do this, or I just go like this.
Yeah.
Then we know, okay, it's popped, I'm done.
Yeah.
We will revisit this
Yes.
conversation later when we're all calm.
Yeah.
And
Like
it takes a good 20 minutes. Sometimes it takes longer.
Sure.
But here's also the thing. There comes a time in your life that you know that it's time to work on yourself. Not because something is wrong, but because you realize that you are ready to live a more intentional life. Grit Coaching creates a space where you can strengthen who you are, grow with resilience and intentionality, and become the transformation you knew you were always meant to be. I work with entrepreneurs, executive and professionals who want to strengthen their leadership, refine their direction, and grow with purpose. If this is your moment to invest in yourself, you can reach out to me directly at janine@jdcexec.com or visit the coaching page to book your session. You don't want to say things that you're going to regret later.
Exactly.
That attacks character and attacks identity.
And that hurts them.
Yeah. And that's what you've been trying to build up, is character and identity.
Sure.
Now, in a moment of anger, you crush all of that.
Yeah, and then you as the mom feel defeated again.
Yeah.
So it's not just what you're doing to your teen without realizing it. It's something you're doing within yourself as well.
Exactly.
So it takes some kind of thinking about it. Not just doing, but like you say, just kind of the pause. Practice the pause.
Practice the pause. Exactly. That's very important.
Yeah. How do we digital boundaries? I mean, we spoke about this. We can't get away from digital. It's a different time that our kids are living in. How do we encourage those boundaries without really telling them what can and what can't? For them to actually take ownership and say, this is healthy for me or this is not.
I always say is we lead by values, not by trends. So you as the parent needs to lead in that aspect. You need to show them that you put your foot down, your phone down. You need to show them, you need to put your foot down to put your own phone down.
Yeah.
Okay. You need to lead with the boundaries. They need to see the things that you put in place. I had such a rude awakening the other night. Now, I read before I go to sleep, I read my Bible, and in the mornings as a ritual, as a habit, a healthy habit. Before we all go out, we read, we pray, and then we go out for the day.
Yeah.
So obviously for me at night it's the same thing, but the kids fall asleep by us, and then we send them to bed. So we came back the one evening, and I had something to prepare for the very next morning. And I thought, you know what? I'm also tired, I'm going to go to bed early, but what if I can just prepare this now? Then it's done. And I took my Bible and I opened it up, and my youngest daughter said to me, you never read the Bible at night. And I'm like, yes, I do. I was like so taken aback. I'm like, how do you not know this? And I realized she doesn't, because she's sleeping when I'm doing it.
Exactly.
And I'm so thankful for that moment, because I realized that if that didn't happen, she would have grown up and said, Mom, no, my mom just reads Bible in the morning.
Sure. Yeah.
But it's the same with the boundaries.
Exactly.
What are you showing them? Because it's not what you doing, it's what you're doing when you're with them.
Absolutely.
That they are seeing. And what is the boundaries? What is the habits that you want to install into them? It's a partnership.
Yeah.
And it's something you do together.
Yes. Yeah, a partnership, not punishment. We're not there to punish them,
Yes.
you know, and we need to do it together, like you say. I'm thinking of things like weekend detoxes.
I love that.
You know, not just telling your kids, you're not going to be on your phone this weekend. We're not going to be on our phones.
Yeah.
We are going to be spending some intentional time together.
Let's see how long we can last.
Yeah, because it's for us, it's a struggle as well, right?
Yeah.
Just building that trust again. I think that's the important thing, you know.
Is raising healthy humans at the end of the day. It's not just about teenagers, it's raising healthy humans at the end of the day.
Yeah, the responsibility is so big, because we think about just getting through the teenage phase, but what we're doing is we are building and helping build the next generation of leaders.
Absolutely.
You know, it's a big responsibility. It's not just getting by in the season.
You know, something that I love doing with my kids as well is, instead of focusing on what they should have done or what they've done wrong or, you know, another thing that is negative, I really try and figure out how that negative thing is going to help them positively in the future. As an example, my son, like he says, he's got a temperature meter, and his temperature meter goes up very quickly. This is what I realized. I said to him, it means you are a very strong leader, but you need to practice self-control. If you can get your temperature meter under control, it means that you can lead people very well, because you're a strong leader.
Yeah.
So you need to look at, maybe not focus so much on the negative side of the things, but take and say, okay, this is the characteristic that I pick up in my child. They're going to be a good leader. They're going to be my daughter, like, she can nurse anything and anyone. And I'm like, man, you're going to make a great teacher one day. If that is something that you love, then you're going to do that.
Yeah.
But sometimes she can overly be protective, and that is the negative side. And then I'm like, we need to teach you the boundaries.
Just how do we do this?
How do we do this? So even with your kids, when they do stuff that is negative or not in the way you should, just try and pinpoint it to their character and their personality, to see how can they use it when they are adults as well, and help them to develop that, rather focus the whole time on the negative.
I love that, because then also you kind of, you know, without realizing it, forcing them into a completely different persona.
Yeah. And they become aware.
Exactly. And they think that that's a problem. So one day when they can't lead, they've got all the skill, they've got the talent, you know, that's what God instilled in them. But they don't realize it because they've been pushing it down, you know, all the time. So very important that. I think teach the reset language.
I love that. So true. So true.
Can we try again? That's a simple phrase, you know, and it opens a world of possibility and opportunity. And just after that conflict is like, you know, okay, let's do this.
Yeah, let's try again.
We can. It's okay that we didn't get it right the first time.
Yeah, and it's okay. It's okay to say sorry. Sorry, I lost it. Sorry, I exploded. Sorry, I screamed. Let's try this again without that, and see how far we've come. And it's going to take a few times for you to get there, and then it's also going to become habits. It's also going to become normal to you, that you don't have to scream through things. It doesn't have to be that screaming match. You're going to be able to work through it.
Yes. Absolutely, I love that.
Yeah,
that's so true.
I think for me, something that I learned is to share my inner world as well.
I love
to
that.
share the things that's going on in my life with them,
Yes,
so
being
that they
truthful.
understand.
Wow.
So that they understand. I don't want my kids to grow up one day and think mom and dad never had an issue. You know, our finances was always just amazing. You know, my mom, the one day I asked her about that, and she's like, "You'll just never know." And she made a joke out of it. I'm like, we never struggled when we were young, like financially, like that was my. She's like, "You'll never know."
Yeah.
She's like, I said, "What did you do?" She's like, "Always had sweets in the house." She says, "If a child has sweets, they will never think they're struggling."
I like that.
Oh, that was brilliant. And I get where she's coming from.
Yeah.
And we don't want our kids to know, but I also think it's good, it's healthy, it's part of the boundaries for them to understand that life sometimes does this
Exactly.
with us.
It's not
How
just
do we
smooth
handle
sailing.
it?
Yeah.
It was such a beautiful compliment for me on the weekend. We were busy setting up the studio and busy with the things, and I was testing the mics, and we were asking the kids one or two questions, and we asked my son the question, is there something about mommy that stands out for you? And he said that in difficult times,
Wow.
he says she always remains so calm. I don't know how she does it.
Wow. Yeah.
And then I realized wow, what a compliment. But my boy,
yes.
this is where it comes from.
Yes.
This is what I do. These are the things that I go through. This is my step by step on how I get to be calm through these
That's
situations.
important.
That's what they need to know. Because what he was actually asking is, how do you do it?
Exactly.
And now it's my responsibility to share with him my inner world.
And I think through being transparent with your children is they learning resilience. Like you say, life is not just smooth sailing. You know, there are ups and downs.
Yeah.
How do they handle that? How do they go through that? And it's just by, once again, seeing how you do it.
Yeah.
From
And
being
it's
small.
being honest as well. Sometimes I walk out of the office into the kitchen and I'm like, this was a tough day.
Yeah.
And
So important.
and it's they're clever enough now to ask, but what makes it a tough day?
Yeah.
That it makes it a tough day because of this, that, and the other. This is how I'm going to handle it. This is how I'm going to move through it, and so on and so forth. So letting them into my world gives them the practical tools that
Yes.
they need when they get into a similar situation.
Yeah. To navigate. I
But
love
again,
that.
we ended up in the kitchen.
Yes.
Those shared spaces.
Yes, I love that.
Those mirror moments that
Yeah.
we speak about.
Because that's your safe space. I mean, they've also realized that that's a safe space where we can just be. You know, I can just be with mom.
Yeah.
Love it. Celebrate small reach outs. I think that's another important thing. You know, those small things, a text, just a glance, just a wink, you know, I recognize you. Do you feel that's important? And I think it's a sense of not really demanding more, but just attempting.
Yeah.
You know?
I believe that's very important. And if you do it, they will eventually start doing it back without even realizing it.
Exactly.
It's so special for me. My daughter leaves me notes in my notebook. And it comes from when she was in primary school and even younger. I used to leave letters in her shoe and in her lunchbox. You know, so without realizing, she makes my day when she does those things. My son brings me a flower. But there's always these little things. Each child is different as well.
Yes.
It's not it's not a measuring tool.
Absolutely.
It's just it's so beautiful because it all fits with their personality.
Yeah.
My other daughter, she tries to pretend that she doesn't love the affection, but she would come and she would whisper some things into my ear, and I love that.
Wow.
And that's her way of doing it.
Yeah.
So, but it starts with us. They wouldn't have known to do these things if we didn't reach out,
Exactly.
celebrate small things, told them, I love you.
Yeah.
It's important to tell your
yes.
children needs to hear the words, I love you.
Yeah.
They need to hear the words, I'm proud of you. They need to hear the words, you are doing well. They need to hear those things from
Yeah.
you as a parent, or see it. Maybe it is a letter. Maybe it is something in their lunchbox. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Until this day, I actually remember I was very young. I was still in primary school. And my dad's not the type to really write letters, you know. And I can't even remember how old I was. But it's a memory. It's a core memory for me how he put a 20 rand note. Now, I mean, that was in itself.
Yo.
Those years, having
That's a
20 rands,
That's
that's
a
like,
lot.
it's big. Like,
Yeah.
we could buy that whole
Snippy.
cafe. Snippy. And so that was great. The money was great. But there was a little letter, and it just said, lief vir jou. It was so simple. It was so small. But until I can't remember how old I was, but I've got that core memory. it was something so small, and he probably, obviously he meant it, because it's not something that he also just did out of the sake of doing it. And I think that's also why it stood out for me, is it was not just a repetitive or a repetition of something. He wanted to make sure when I opened my lunchbox that day that I would read those words, and so that's something that I until today remember.
Beautiful.
And it's the same for your kids. It's once again, it's the small stuff. It doesn't have to be big. Keeping up with the Joneses, just to be there for a moment. As parents, we think, I'm not giving my kids enough. What if I could do better? What if I could give them more? And we sometimes frame that in monetary values, but kids, that's not the things they remember. They don't care. That could have been a 5 rand. It could have even not been anything, just the letter.
I would
say
the
still
notes,
remember.
The notes.
That's what's important.
Yeah. I remember when I was writing exam, I love the fast forward chocolates. Do you remember them with the blue?
The
they need to bring that back.
Absolutely.
Right?
And the yes or no's. The fast forwards and the yes or no chocolates.
Yes. So I was writing exam in matric, and my mom gave me that chocolate with just a little note before I started writing. And it's things like that, or a survival pack.
Yeah.
For exams, things like that really makes the difference. But if I take this whole conversation today, is teens isolate and they move away because they're overwhelmed.
Absolutely.
Because they need space. They need time to think. They need time to process, right? Allow them that space. And when they come back, then treat it with ease, with calm. If you see it gets too heated, then just try again. It's popped, maybe. It's okay. Just try again. But the consistency here in the relationship is key.
Yes.
I would highly encourage you to listen to part 1 of this podcast, where we give also practical insights on how to spend time together. What does time look like for a teenager? What does value look like for a teenager, in order for you to understand and better communicate with them as well?
Absolutely, love that. So powerful. If you haven't yet been on the registration links or on Dr. Janine de Carber's website, be sure to jump on there. There's an entire section on the Intent Teen program. It's going to tell you exactly what's going to be happening. We're so excited about this. We're not just excited, we're expectant. We know that there's a gap for this, and that parents don't always know how to navigate. I think the beauty for us working through this, developing this course and this entire program, also just in our own lives,
Absolutely.
seeing, the shortcomings, and where we can be better, where we can show up for our kids in a manner and in a way that they can resonate with. So it's powerful stuff. We thank you so much for being part of this community. It's an absolute honor and a pleasure to be on this journey with you. This is a journey. It's not just the fly-by-night course or a program. It really is just being there for each other, in a partnership, and saying, you've got this, and your teen has got this too. So jump on over to that. Don't forget about the Culmination Red Carpet event at the end of next year. That is included in your ticket fee for you and your daughter. It's going to be absolutely amazing. We're so looking forward to that. A night where you really can crown your daughter. So special. Imagine
I'm looking forward to that.
Wow, that's going to be so amazing.
It's a way to end it all, is to crown her, literally. And what I'm about to say is not to create urgency. I want to be very honest. I want to be very, very real with you. Is there's only 10 spots for each one of these groups that we are training. 1 in March, 1 around July, and 1 around October. So there is not going to be enough spots. So I want you to book. I want you to be part of this. I want you to become part of this journey and walk this out in this season of your life. Don't think that your daughter is too young. I've taken my younger daughter. We're going through the program together. I'm crowning my daughters in November. And we're going to walk this journey together. We're going in prepared, and we're going to, there's so many things we've learned already just amazing. In this journey.
Incredible.
So, thank you for doing this with me.
No, it's such an honor.
Like, really. I think it's that the intentional teens has been in my heart for some time, and you were just saying we need to do something with teenagers, and I was like, man, I've got it. Been working on this.
Absolutely.
So thank you for doing this and making an impact in the lives of so many parents and so many teenagers. And I think it's rarely that moms and teenagers can come together in one room and do this and grow together. This is so going to expand you.
Yeah.
If you enjoyed today's podcast, we would love for you to like and share, subscribe, send it to that mom, send it to your friend that also has a teenager, or somebody, like I'm saying teenagers from the ages up already, they can be part of this program because there's so much to learn. So don't put an age limit on it. Don't think they're too young. Don't think they're too old. Moms, daughters, bring them, this is going to help your relationship. Share it with them. And also comment at the section below, because then what we can do is we can send you our mom-daughter starter kit.
Oh, that's so powerful. People are getting so much value, moms and daughters, just, giving you practical things again to do together, ideas, tips. It's a toolkit, really. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And people are loving it. So if you don't have your hands on a copy of that yet, you definitely need to get that.
Just send us a message or comment below and say mother-daughter starter kit, and we'll send it to you. So thank you for joining us today, and see you next time for our next episode. Thank you for spending these intentional minutes with me. If you want to go deeper, you'll find everything I create, from business consulting to private coaching to marketing cosmetics and learn social media, and all the tools and tactics you will need for your next chapter of growth. Talking about chapters, be sure to visit my website for my newest Intentionality book series release, so that you can grow in the 10 most important areas in your life. My work is simple. I'm an author, I'm a strategist, and I'm a builder of people who builds businesses and transforms communities. Until next time, stay intentional.